Hi, today on episode 349 of your favorite daily podcast, a couple of things, a podcast about things. I talk with my friend Fouad about bids, friendships and relationships, which is becoming kind of a theme in recent conversations, and career changes, and a lot more. I'm sure you enjoy. Happy listening. Hi, welcome to today's episode of your favorite daily podcast, a couple of things, a podcast about things. Today I have a guest. One of my, I don't think new still qualifies the friendship, but relative to my other friendships and some of the people that have been on the podcast is new, but it's not new. But anyway, one of my newest friends that I made here in the Netherlands, Fouad. Hi, Fouad.
Hello, Lade. Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. Doing all right.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Fouad. I am a software engineer based here in Netherlands, and I currently work in manufacturing. I moved here in 2022, around this time, 2022. So it was pretty cold when I moved. Um,
Oh, I
yeah.
also moved around this time in 2022.
Oh, really? I think I moved
Oh
November.
no, sorry, no, 2021. Was it? In fact, Miss, I don't understand times again. Never mind. Just ignore me. Continue what you said.
Yeah. I think I got here in November of 2022, and yeah, I've been here ever since. I've moved around cities, that's exciting also. But yeah, that's me.
Nice. Nothing else you want to add?
Um, no, not really, not
Mm.
really. I think as we grow into the pod, I'll probably say a bit more. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, standard second question is how do we know each other?
And you might find this very weird, but I think I might be opposite, the direct opposite of you, where I know like the dates, or I remember the dates that everything
You
happened.
know the dates.
Okay, maybe not the date, but I remember the setting. I remember everything that was going to happen around that time. So
Interesting.
it was August of last year. August of last year. Around the inter-house sports that
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, so we had this inter-house sport that was happening in the Nigerian community. So I think it was the week before, right? And I think you were traveling to the UK because I remember you had this suitcase just
Oh
chilling.
yeah, I remember that day.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that was the day I saw you for the first time.
yeah, I
So
remember I was going to the UK that day, but then I wanted to come to games, so I came to games with my box.
yes,
So I would not have to go home first. Yeah,
yeah. So that was the first time, and I think we've seen a handful of times, a number of times since then.
yeah.
So yeah, that's
Mostly around games and stuff
yes,
like that.
and you being kind enough to invite me to your home. So yeah,
Because I consider you to be my friend. And if for people who are listening, I don't want to go into a whole thing, but I did a whole episode about this about who what defines a friend and how do you know somebody's your friend. But yeah, so moving on. Okay, so we've done introduce yourself and how do we know each other. Sorry, my brain is a bit slow today because I'm still recovering from my tooth extraction and sometimes my painkillers are not working. So
so
okay. What was the last third question? Yes. Third question that leads to the rest of the conversation. What's on your mind today?
I think too many things, Lade, too many things on my mind. But yeah, to be honest, it's too many things, and it's very hard to pick one. Um,
You don't have to pick one. You can talk about all of them. As many
oh,
as you want.
okay. All right. So I think the one that I probably thought about more recently was I was with somebody last week and we were playing Monopoly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it starts pretty slowly. Everybody's buying properties. You're moving around. You're going to jail. The whole nine.
Mm,
And it got to a point where people started making bids, or like they started trying to buy houses for themselves or like properties, and
mm-hmm.
it's this back and forth that happens in Monopoly, right?
Mm,
And for some reason, I just zoned out for about 10 minutes, and I started thinking about bids for love or bids for and it's not only romantic relationships, obviously, like platonic relationships in general, right?
yeah.
How do people reach out in term by presenting bids in hopes to get something back, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, the major takeaway from my zoning out at the time was like, because I think it was between two people at the setting where one person wanted something, the other person said, "Oh, give me that, but with something more," or "That's
Yeah.
not," things like that, right? And I kept thinking that no matter how much you want to probably pour into somebody or give them, if it's not what they want or if it's not exactly what they're looking for, they would not find it useful, right? And again, after that, I zoned out for another 30 minutes when I was going back home in the train, thinking about it a bit more. And what I thought of was like an auction. If you imagine an auction, right, where people are
Yeah.
and stuff, and there's just this one guy in the back that, let's say for example, the auction starts at 10 euros for, I don't know, for a bike, right? Because we're in Netherlands, right? For a bike.
Hmm.
10 euros for a bike, and people keep bidding. Oh, 15 euros, the price goes up. 20 euros, the price goes up. And there's just this guy at the back that keeps screaming 100K, 200K, and everybody's ignoring him, right? No one even hears that he's trying to, bid that
Mm.
a moment in time. And that just occurred to me, like, no matter how much, how much you have or how much you can provide or give or how much you are willing to share, if everyone is not on the same page, slash if that's not what they want at that auction, you just waste your time. It's the money you brought that you take back to your house. So sorry for the monologue, but like,
It's your episode. Feel free.
yeah, so that was really fascinating because I think it also felt even more interesting because the two people that were arguing, they did not come to an agreement. So it's like even all the back and forth or trying to get something here, get something, and that didn't work out for them. So I think that was the one thing that I had to ruminate on again today because yeah.
So where did your ruminations lead you to?
I think it led me to um probably to cultivate a habit of acceptance, right? To more or less know what I want to accept and say, okay, is this what I'm comfortable with? Okay, if this person, if this situation does not want, uh this level of what's the word? This level of whatever I'm about to provide, or this my bid. Yes, that's the word. If this situation does not accept this my bid, I should accept defeat, or I should accept that okay, this is not for me. But at the same time, there are also some more important thing like um in like platonic relationships where you keep asking yourself, is it worth me even going even further? Right? This person has continually shown me that they don't want you know this level of
Relationship.
exactly, and is it and now it's now up to me to now evaluate and be like, oh, okay, this person deserves one more chance, or I should continue doing this a bit more, which led me to the second thing I was thinking about. But yeah, that
What was
was
the second thing?
so it's more or less like going from that, from oh, you want to know what to give people, how to give them, because um if they don't understand it, if they cannot relate to it, it's practically pointless, right?
Yeah.
Then it made me think about anger or frustration languages, right?
Mm.
I love languages. That's the interesting one. That's the sweet one. That's the one everyone is talking, right? But friendships or relationships are tested in their most hectic
Yeah.
periods, right? So I feel like okay, now tying that into okay, um how does somebody communicate their displeasure? How do they communicate their anger or frustration? Because yes, your bid is not being accepted, but is there something you could change about the bid? Is it a
Mm.
problem? Is it a them problem? Right. So I was thinking about that for a while too. It's like, and I think that's what made me just drop the entire thing because sometimes you can't really change how somebody handles something or how they perceive.
I don't think you can actually ever control that. You can
Yeah,
only control what you do and
yeah.
say.
You cannot because if you are dealing with somebody that feels like they're superior, or they demand this level of not interaction but like feedback from you always consistently, and now if you fall short, they will always see it as, oh, you're not enough, basically. um so yeah, I think like that was what I was also thinking about, like, oh, okay, no matter how much I bid, if this person is frustrated, or they're not happy, or they're angry, and everybody has different ways of showing it, which I've also noticed.
Or they don't like place the relationship on the same level that you place it, so they are not even seeing the bid for what it is.
Yes, yes, and also, even if even if they do see the bid for how it seems to be, or if they perceive the bid somehow, it also turns out like, when they do accept that bid, there are certain things they can decide to do with it also, right? And that doesn't always, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
go very well. Um,
Do you know what I find interesting is, oftentimes you talk about this thing from us being on the receiving end of it, like, oh, I made this bid to someone. I mean, obviously not in these terms, but
yeah,
generally, like, oh, I made this bid to someone and they didn't reciprocate or respond or whatever. I'm wondering about the times where we're the ones who don't respond to the bid.
yeah, yeah. That's a very good point, and I can think of like 16 different instances right now where I have done, and I'm sure you can too, right? Where it's like,
We're
um,
not cool like that. Like, what is happening? This is strange.
so it's yeah. I think it definitely goes both ways. It goes both ways. I like to think I'm a very, what's it called? I'm very self-aware,
Yeah.
right? So I think, more often than not, you just try to make sure you let everybody know, what the level is, to be honest. Or And also, I also build friendships very slowly, or even anything like that. So it's like, I'm not the kind of person to rush into anything. So if I do see that, oh, someone is trying to outbid me before I'm ready to even bid anything, it's like, usually there's a conversation that follows to, like, level
So
the
yeah,
people.
basically like intentionality in
Yeah,
defining this.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, it's just too many things in my head. So yeah,
Yeah. I think that's very interesting though, because it's something that I think about a lot with friendships in particular, because honestly, for the past 2, 3 years, friendship has been a very key topic for me,
yeah,
especially because moving to a new country, building relationships again and everything. So yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, what else is on your mind?
Oh, um, mm, wow. I Okay, so I want to go back to school at some point,
Okay.
right? But I don't want it to be in tech,
What did you do for your bachelor's undergrad?
IT, information technology, right?
Okay.
So I don't want it to be in tech. I want it to be in something that I really enjoy. For example, I think, I really like writing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more or less, it's it's just it's tricky, because when I say writing, I mean like writing to probably change people's minds, or to, like, for I think I read something a long time ago where they said people write stuff to be read, right?
Mm-hmm.
Write something to be read, exactly. So, that's my mentality. Okay, how much can I write, and how much of what I've written can I get to be read, more or less. So,
Do you
yeah.
do fiction, non-fiction, or
So,
both?
um I used to do just basic technical writing, right?
Okay.
So even at work, I kind of led most initiatives around documentation and things like that. I think my type of writing has always been to more or less help people.
Mm.
So I never could get my head around fiction. I couldn't find anything
Mm-hmm.
to make me fall asleep any faster, which is funny because my mom is a huge John Grisham fan.
Mm.
So she loves John Grisham. We have like an entire shelf full of John Grisham books back home. So growing up, I saw her read lots of novels, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. So for me, it's more or less around maybe copywriting, to be honest. So sales copies, um, product copy, and things like that. Um, but yeah, so I was thinking about going back to school for my masters, but then I'm not really sure, what my options would be if I wanted to go down the route of writing. That's one. The other one is like, I also have an interest in psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
It also ties into writing, right? Okay, you want to somehow it ties into writing. I don't know how to explain it, but psychology. But then I was talking to somebody that did psychology for a bachelor's, and she was saying, because I'm in tech and there's AI, I should do neuropsychology. So there's just too much talk, to be honest, too much postulations.
What about psychology is interesting to you?
So I like the human mind, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I explained for about 10 minutes before this topic. Now that I zoned out for 10 minutes thinking about this build and that build, or how people interpret and understand things. So usually I find myself doing that a lot, where you just sit down and you're like, okay, if I said this differently, would it have been perceived differently? If I had not said this, what would have, how would the situation have changed and things like that. So I find that very interesting because people are different, right? People think differently. People approach issues differently. It's also something that has helped me, like, since I moved here, where I don't take most things personal.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say someone is not being a very good sport at work. Someone is doing something weird at work. I just like it's like I don't even think about it. I just and let it pass by, to be honest, because I'll just I could end up saying something like, "Oh, he probably didn't sleep well this morning," or maybe something wrong is going wrong at home, or
No. This
he has.
is the psychological concept of attribution theory, which is very interesting because usually with attribution theory, people tend to attributes when other people behave in annoying ways to
Mhm,
them, as to, like, to the person's character, like this is
mhm,
how the
mhm.
person is, and not to external circumstances like you're doing. Most people do that for themselves, so if they do
Yeah,
something, they attribute it to, oh, it was the situation or something
yeah,
happened or whatever. um Especially when it's not a good thing, but if it's a good thing, then do the reverse, and
yeah,
also do the opposite for other people as well. So it's very interesting that your basic attribution is to um attribute
yeah.
when people behave badly, quote unquote, to external circumstances rather than this is the nature of the person or they are trying to do something to annoy you particularly.
Yeah, I think it's also because of the context situation, right? So let's say I'm at work, for instance. The last thing I want to do is to start forming opinions about my colleagues, per se, right? Any deep rooted opinions. So I rather assume it's like, it's a temporary thing, something you get over at some point. I hope you're okay, etc. So yeah, that's how I have thought about it, to be honest. But I really really enjoy the human mind. I and also because I am usually alone, right? So if you're alone, you enough time to think, have enough time to think, and you become very retrospective slash you internalize so many things, and you just wonder how other people do the same. To be honest, so that's what I find interesting
Mm,
in psychology.
yeah, I think psychology is a great course. I studied psychology, so I think it's a great course for anyone to do. um but yeah, I wonder why. I'm trying to see the connection between the AI thing and neuropsychology. I don't
Yeah,
see it. But
yeah,
neuropsychology is an interesting branch of psychology because it's also looking most psychology on the surface level, like bit like when most people talk about psychology, they usually just think about like um the therapeutic side of it with
yeah.
like the Freudian theories and the Jungian theories and all of those things. When neuropsychology looks more into like the biology of people, brain biology particularly, and how that influences and shapes behavior and
Yeah.
all of those things, which I think is a very, very interesting aspect of biology to see if you can find explanations for behaviors that have been attributed to more psyche or related things and see if they're related to like things in your actual physiology. Really
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah. No. Is there anything else on your mind, or should I ask you questions?
Just last point on that psychology thing. It's also why I feel like I have two options because I could not wrap my head around biology when I was in secondary school.
God, I hated biology.
If I go back, I'm going to be even worse. So but I think the point the lady I was talking to was trying to make was maybe I think she was already envisioning, Elon Musk,
Oh, like
creating
the Neuralink thing.
yeah, maybe like creating chips for us in the future, and maybe that would, but that if I had a chance to work in tech in 15 years, I'm not going to be working in that sector. So yeah, so I think that's probably what she was thinking about that. Oh, maybe if I went down that route, I think she was also thinking, no, I'll be staying in tech, but the truth is, I really don't want to. So
Let's come
um,
back to that. But I just also want to say that psychology. So the funny thing is, I hated biology throughout
yeah,
secondary school,
same.
and I was so happy to be done with it. I didn't know that you needed psychology. You needed biology to do psychology. So when I was finishing secondary school, I was so happy. I was like, thank God I'm done with biology. I'm never doing it again. I entered into Unilag, physiological psychology. 1, 2, 3. 3 years I did biology, basically biology. 4 years
Uh,
actually, because in diploma I also did biology. So yeah, I was so upset. But anyway,
no, no, unfortunately,
um, living tech. Let's talk about that because I did an episode a couple of episodes ago about like what I want to do after my masters
yeah,
and wondering whether I want to keep working in tech or not. And this is a conversation I've had with so many people who are currently working in tech who are like, I don't know if I still want to be in this industry. Is this
no,
like what is happening? So let's talk about that. What for you? What is the how did you get into tech? You studied IT, obviously. That's probably
yeah,
how. But like,
yes,
how did you get? Because people study things in their undergrad that they don't end up working in.
yeah.
Was that like an intentional thing, or was it something that just happened?
Um, it was not intentional. It was intentional on my parents' part. Like they wanted it.
Mhm.
Um, but this is how it happened, right? So, um, I finished school at a very, very young age, almost too young, and I could not enter university on time because I was obviously not of age yet. So my father said, "Oh, go and try this school out instead, and if you like it after 1 month, let me know." And it was like a tech diploma school where we were supposed to be taught, the arts, the cool arts of software engineering. Um, so I went there and I spent 2 long years there just learning the ropes, to be honest. But that was how I got into it because I was not old enough to actually go to school. But I wanted to study medicine, believe it or not. And I know I hated biology, but at the same time, I felt like I could survive in medical school. And I have friends in medical school now that they're telling me how everything is going, and I'm like, I would have died if I went to medical. Um,
I was like, how can you hate biology out studying
so
medicine?
Do you know this kind of dream that okay, you have this dream growing up that oh, I'll be a doctor, I'll be a doctor, I'll be a doctor, and
Yeah,
and everyone around you for some reason they also believe in the dream. It's not their dream, but they also believe in the dream. So it
yeah.
gets to a point where you're like, oh, maybe I don't want to, disappoint people. Or even if you feel like, oh, I hate biology, you're like, oh, I can figure it out. I'm smart.
Mm,
How hard can it be? Right? I'll just
yeah, I
I'll just
get
read and
you.
I'll cover up. So that was the feeling at the time. So if I was old enough, I would have, become a medical doctor at the time. Um, but yeah, so it also ties into why I don't think I have too many years left in tech, to be honest. Because finishing school at a very young age, also starting to work at a very young age at the same time. Because I think next year will be 5 years since I've been working in tech. Next year, April, 5 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just tired today. I'm tired. I'm very tired. It's just it's an exciting sector to work in, and the only thing keeping me going these days is just the novelty of the problems I get to solve. So, like, for
Mm.
example, for 2 years now, I've been working in manufacturing, like 3D modeling, um, uh,
That sounds very
right? So it's
cool.
like that's the step that I've been working in for a while now. I think one I'm very excited about that I think I might look out very soon is this AR VR thing, right? Because I have the 3D
Yeah.
background where I am already, right? So it's like it should be easy to transition into that new one. But beyond that, I don't see myself doing it for too long because it's very, yes, the money is good, we thank God, but in the long run, I don't think it's something I want for myself.
What do you think is missing for you?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, I'll put it this way, um, because I do copywriting for a few, not institutions, but like they are small startups slash things that they have going on, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I I see the joy I get from after like I write the sales copy or I put content up for a poster and things like that. I see the joy I feel from there, and then I see the joy I feel from probably working on a feature for something at work, and they just don't compare. I know it sounds very vague, but
Oh no, I think I understand
yeah,
what you
yeah,
mean. I don't think it's vague. But do you think that is it your
mhm,
company, your current job, or is this a thing of
yeah.
like, it's
So
just not
I
working?
genuinely don't think I have an answer to that because before I left
Mm,
Nigeria, I felt the same way because I was working in fintech.
yeah.
I was working with like POSs, um, mobile banking, all of that, and it felt very repetitive. All we're doing were dashboards and tables, dashboards and tables. That's all we're doing, and it felt very disturbing at the
Mm,
time. So I felt like, oh, I'm not doing this for anymore, or I will take a break at some point, blah blah blah. Then I moved here, and I've loved it ever since. I mean, I like what I do, I enjoy what I do. I mean, but it's that,
it's
yeah,
not
it's
giving the
like, would I
same.
rather be doing something else? And the answer is yes. That's that's just
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I totally relate because it's part of the reasons why I'm thinking, do I want to go back to working in tech? I don't know if it's like tech in
Yeah.
particular or if it's UX research I don't want to do
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
anymore, or if it's, I don't know. I really
Yeah.
don't know as well. And I know why I don't want to. I think I don't want to do UX research anymore. The frustrations
Yeah.
around it, but I don't know if that frustration reaches to just tech in general. And maybe it's not that I don't want to do UX research anymore. Maybe it's that I don't want to do UX research anymore as a employee. Maybe I want to do it freelance. I don't know. It's just I relate
Yeah.
basically is what I'm trying to say, and I understand what
Yeah.
you're
I
saying.
just think you should also afford yourself the time to figure it out, right? It's
Oh yeah, I'm not even giving myself
exactly.
any pressure there because I still have. I'm focusing on school. School assignments want to finish me this weekend. I had three different assignments to submit, all involved doing literature review and reading academic papers. I
Yeah.
don't have time to think about my future. I'm focusing on my
Those will keep me up
homework.
at night. Literally, keep me up at night.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you. Yes, do you have anything else on your mind, or do you want to ask you
And
questions?
I think that's what's on top of my mind at the moment. If I leave this recording now, 6 more things might come, and then I'll book another time with you.
Wait, there's no more time. There are
No,
only
I know,
like
I know,
15, 16 days left in the end
I
of the
know.
year. There's no more time. I'm so happy that I was done with this podcast, by the way. Um, yeah. Oh God, my teeth, my. I don't even know. Anyway, I'm trying to remember what I wanted to say before I experienced the sharp step, sharp. What am I saying? Sharp step of pain. God. Um, let me. My brain is beating. All right. What's something exciting that's happened for you this year?
Ooh, I moved houses.
Oh, that's
I think,
nice. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me
yeah, I moved
that. That's
houses, and I
nice.
was very happy I did. Because I was still telling somebody yesterday that in my last apartment, if you stand in one corner, you see the entire apartment. I don't care what corner you stand in, you see my entire apartment. And it was also in an area where everyone spoke Dutch. You would have thought I will
Mm.
have picked up Dutch quicker. No, everyone spoke Dutch. My neighbors were 75 and above because I was staying in Den
Wow.
Haag, right? And I was very close to the beach. which means I'm very far from the
Mm,
center. I had to travel 50 minutes to
yeah.
get to the center, then 50 minutes to Amsterdam to I was coming to work. That's what I'm saying.
Whoa.
It's a different story of how I even got there in the first place. Um, but yeah, I moved houses and now I'm a lot closer to work. I think the very first day I slept in my new apartment, I went to work the next day, and within 13 minutes I was in Amsterdam, and it felt very surreal. I don't know how to explain it. I think it was about nine something in the morning. I was like, I'm in Amsterdam at 9 a.m. That was unbelievable to me. So yeah, that was very
Yeah.
exciting because I stayed there for about a year and a half. So yeah, it was very exciting breaking out of that loop, to be honest.
I'm very happy
Thank
for you,
you.
man. Because now I have to commute just an hour, give or take, and it's so
What school?
annoying. Yeah, to
Yeah.
go to school it takes me an hour, give or take, and it's so irritating because before go to my office took me like 15 minutes if I took public transport and 30 minutes if
Imagine
I
30
walked.
minutes if you walk.
So,
Your
uh,
wait, your
yeah.
workplace was walking distance from your house.
Yes, I could walk to my office in 30
Impressive.
minutes.
That's impressive.
I was really happy with that, but now my transport cost has like
Oh, no.
tripled. But anyway, yeah, so I'm very happy for you because yeah, living long commutes
It
are so
is, it
frustrating.
is,
God.
it is. And it's funny because if your train gets delayed,
Oh,
or
that's the
I was
worst.
not
That
on
is the
time. And it's funny because
worst.
I had to leave the office at a particular time so I could get to the bus station to my house at a particular time because it got there every 30 minutes because it's a
Mm,
small populated area. Not
yeah.
too many people are moving around. So it was 30 minutes every time for the bus. And if I missed it,
If you miss it, you have to wait
I
30
was in trouble.
minutes. Honestly, I've never been so acquainted with the train system
Yeah,
in this country because I never had to
yeah,
use the trains
yeah,
before. But now, one small delay and I'm getting to school 30
yeah,
minutes later than
yeah,
I planned. And that means I've missed like a third
yeah.
of my class. Like, it's so irritating. But anyway, I'm happy for you. That's
Thanks.
really great. What are you looking forward to next year?
Ooh, look forward to see my mom.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I've not seen
nice.
her since last year.
You haven't been back home since you moved.
No, I went home last year, July.
Oh, okay. But you didn't see
Yeah,
her.
so over a year now since I saw her. So that's the one thing
Oh,
I'm
okay,
looking for.
okay.
People have New Year resolutions. People have
Oh,
New Year goals. I mean, I have some goals to be honest, but it's like none of them is as big as see my mom. If at the end of next year I see my mom and I don't achieve any other thing, I'll be like, this was a great
oh.
year. I'm looking forward.
I mean, I love that. That's great. It's like so basically your own goal is basically like family. That's the important thing for the next year. And
Yeah,
that's really cool.
that's
I
it.
think that's amazing. Okay. I don't I want to ask you more questions, but like my face is really hurting and I want to go and
That's
sleep.
fine.
So
That's fine.
I'm so sorry that we have
No
to wrap it
worries.
up here. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was a very sweet conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Same.
Do you want to leave any parting words?
Stay around more people. Don't zone out like me. And if you need to, if you have anything that's bothering you, talk to someone.
Those are wise words. Do you want people to connect with you somewhere? I always forget to
Um,
ask this, but I
I'm
remember
currently on a
today.
social media fast right now. I don't think I'll be going back
Okay,
anytime soon, to be honest.
fair. Also very fair. All right, thank you. That's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, Fouad.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.